Good day and welcome to another segment of In the Spotlight. I'm Superintendent Michael Richard, and today I am very pleased to be joined by one of our outstanding art teachers, Miss Amy Carter. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell the audience at home a little bit about yourself, where you're from, why you're in West Springfield, how you got here, and anything else you want to share with us right now.
Well, I grew up in Longmeadow. Both my parents were very much into the arts. My father was a painter and my mother was extremely crafty. My mom is deaf and my father was handicapped. So at a very young age, I really learned I loved helping people. So I decided I wanted to be an art teacher and help people make art. So I went to the University of Massachusetts and I student taught in Springfield and in Holyoke. And I learned so much there. That was a really awesome opportunity. And I was there for about 6 years at Indian Orchard Elementary. And then I decided to make the switch to West Side, and I've been very happy here.
Good. Well, we've been certainly very fortunate to have you here, Amy. You recently published a book called Happy Accidents.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the book. What was the inspiration behind the book?
Yeah. I wrote the book in graduate school as my thesis when I was at Lesley University, and I was noticing that my students were really shutting down when their art wasn't perfect. So Happy Accidents is an art-based children's book about embracing your mistakes. And it's about a silly art teacher named Mrs. Honeydew, and a student named Sasha joins the class and needs a lot of help practicing making happy accidents because she struggles with it. So the story kind of shows her conflict and how she figures it out.
Very good. And you must experience that every day as an art educator.
Yeah.
Good. So your book is just one example of what an outstanding educator you are, and you were recognized recently as the Massachusetts Art Elementary Teacher of the Year. We celebrated that at Convocation last August. Tell me a little bit about the award and some of the responsibilities that have come along with that for you.
Well, I got to go to an amazing workshop and conferences in Boston and get a lot of museum tours. So that was kind of the cherry on top for winning the award.
Good. The competition must have been stiff, and I know that we in West Springfield are fortunate that you're not the only elementary art teacher of the year winner. In fact, we've got two of you in the district, and so we know that the arts program is highly respected and successful here in the district, and we're thankful that you're part of that. I got to know though, you're working at Fawsey and John Ashley School, so we're kindergartners through 5th grade.
Yes.
Tell me, how do you get ready every day to handle the challenges associated with students like Sasha, maybe, who are eager but need a lot of help to get going?
Well, I think patience is super important, but being physically prepared helps with the mental preparedness. So having all of my ducks in a row, so to speak, and being ready to have kids walk in your door and be ready to teach is super important for the mental game of it all. But they're just so creative and it's so contagious. They just walk in and they're ready to learn something. They might need some few gentle reminders, but they want to learn, and that's huge.
Sure. So there's a mindfulness aspect to art, and we hear a lot about art therapy, and you're doing some of that at Fawsey. Can you talk a little bit about what the program is and how you're working with those students and the benefits that you're seeing?
I've been blending a traditional kind of lesson with art therapy and going back and forth and kind of playing it out and seeing how it works. So we'll play music, we'll experiment with materials, and it's less of it has to be an exact thing. It's kind of the experience. It's more process-based.
Good. I never got past any exact thing. I couldn't get past just whatever the experience, attempting to draw or paint or color for that matter and stay within the lines was always a challenge for me. You spoke a little bit about maybe the inspiration behind being an art educator, and certainly a lot of that was rooted in your own family. But what about the art that you've experienced and witnessed to this point in your life? What's the greatest piece of work that you may have seen and or created, and where was it? And tell me a little bit about why that was so meaningful.
Well, that's a hard question. That's like asking a musician their favorite song. But what comes to mind is I was lucky enough to study abroad in France in college. And I had this awesome opportunity to stay in the French Riviera at a castle by this American artist named Henry Clew. And he, in the 1920s, when women were starting to get the right to vote and all that was going on, he didn't like that concept. So he decided that he wanted to move to France and start a medieval castle and live his life there. And so I'm in France and I walk into this beautiful space right on the coastline, and there's George Washington busts and Abraham Lincoln busts, and the doorway literally says in English, "Once upon a time." And it was just crazy just to see that kind of world.
Wow, that's got to be pretty awe-inspiring for sure.
Yeah.
So there are struggles with creating art, and again, I'm example number one in that. But I bet you've got ideas that during the winter months, especially when it's cold and we don't want to open the door to go outside, and we want to create some art at home. Do you have ideas that you can share with the audience at home about things that you can do to be entertained and to have a product that's fun?
Yeah, totally. I brought something to show you.
Great. Well, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and we'll learn how to do a little bit of art with Miss Amy Carter. All right, Amy, so we're going to make a little bit of art here, and
Yeah.
we're pretty excited about this. Why don't you tell us what we're going to do, what materials might be needed, and where we're going, what the direction is that we're going with this art today.
Sure. We're going to make a chalk float print, and you just need regular chalk. I have here some pastels. You just want to make sure they're not oil pastels. They're kind of chalky in nature. I'm going to have some plastic knives or anything that can scrape well.
And are safe for kids.
And are safe for kids, yes. Nothing too sharp. Paper that does well with water, like watercolor paper, something on the thicker side, and then just a bucket of water. And you want something kind of shallow, so like a roasting pan, a baking pan, something that you have in your kitchen would perfectly do.
Or a paint tray, similar to
yes,
what you're using here.
yes.
Okay. All right, so what are we going to do?
So I'm going to pick colors that I like, and I'm going to scrape the chalk all over the surface of the water. And I can add as many colors as I want, and you kind of want to evenly get it around, kind of like you're salt and peppering. And it makes a little bit of a mess, but nothing that won't wash off. And for the holidays, if you want to do certain colors or play around with colors that look good together, there's really no right or wrong. It's anything goes.
That's one of the things that can be really great about art is when there is no right or wrong to what you do. You make it your own, and this looks like one of those projects.
For sure. This is great because you can use it to the paper when you're done, once it dries, to turn it into other things. Art, collages, you can use wrapping paper if it's a fairly small present.
Holiday cards.
Holiday cards, yeah.
Note cards, sure.
Anything you want. And so what I'm going to do is pick up the paper, and I'm just going to dip it and submerge it in, and it has a really cool effect. When I lift it up, I can dip it both sides. You can kind of see that on both sides it has a different effect on each, and I can lay it flat to dry. And when it's all finished, it looks something like these.
Well, that is very cool.
Yeah.
That is very cool and super simple, but something that is your own. And every single one of them is different.
Yes.
So that is really amazing. So tell me about you mentioned the supplies, but where can people pick up these supplies? At a Michael's or
Yeah. You could even
Hobby
get 'em-
Lobby or something like that?
You could totally. I recommend AC Moore.
Okay.
But Michael's totally works. I think AC Moore is a little more cost effective, but you can actually use sidewalk chalk. You might have this stuff at home already and you didn't even know it.
Very good. Very good. Well, cool. Well, we hope that you'll take advantage of this art project at home. Maybe one evening this winter you can find a way to put this to good use and maybe make some cards or some artwork to hang in your own home. Amy's book, Happy Accidents, will be launched on December 2nd at Mill 180 Park in East Hampton from 1 to 3. Amy, you're going to be there.
I will
You're
be
ready?
there.
You got a pen to sign those books and
I do,
autograph them? Very good. Very good. The last question, it's the one that everyone gets. If you could have somebody join me in the spotlight, who would it be?
I would love to see students and families that have stories to share.
All right. Well, that's pretty easy. I think we can make that happen. If you're interested in being featured in the spotlight, feel free to send me an email, mrichard@wsps.org, and we'll do our best to get you on the show. Thank you very much. Have a great holiday season.